In summing up, we began by identifying what appears to be the thrust of Rashi's commentary, in that as of Vayikra Perek 18, there was no need for God to introduce himself to the people with a statement, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. And for this reason, Rashi suggests we need to link the Ani Hashem Elokeichem to the series of laws that were to follow the Arayot laws. Rashi offers two options to this link. The first, a request for Kabbalat Gzerotai, that they carry through the commitments made at Har Sinai for God's sovereignty into a commitment for the fulfillment of God's mitzvot. He offers a second option, that in light of the fact that in the days of Ezra, mass intermarriage with the non-Jewish population threatened the long-term survival of the Jewish community, this Ani Hashem Elokeichem comes as a warning to be exceptionally vigilant in abiding by the Arayot laws. This reading of the Rashi is challenged with a series of 9 questions. Firstly, the concept that Ani Hashem relates to accountability, reward and punishment had been established by Rashi as far back as Shmot Perek 6, and once again repeated just prior to the Aseret HaDibrot in Shmot 20, and therefore including the Ani Hashem Elokeichem prior to the transmission of the Arayot laws in Sefer Vayikra would on the surface at least be somewhat unnecessary. Furthermore, the response that Rashi provides in Vayikra differs from the interpretation provided by Rashi to the Ani Hashem of Sefer Shmot Perek 6 and to his commentary in Sefer Shmot Perek 20, in that there the focus is upon the accountability factor for violation of the mitzvot. In Sefer Vayikra, Rashi reads a request and a warning into the Ani Hashem Elokeichem. In question 3, we have Rashi making a distinction between Malchut, acceptance of God's sovereignty, and Gzeirot, the mitzvot. Yet, an acceptance of God's Malchut would automatically imply the obligation for the fulfillment of the Tariag mitzvot. So why here? According to the first option of Rashi, does God appear to make a distinction between Malchut and Gzeirot by requesting that Bnei Yisrael should now accept Gzeirot in addition to Malchut. Furthermore, if we are to accept for some reason that Malchut does not automatically include Kabbalat Mitzvot, then the request for the acceptance of God's Gzeirot should have been made very early on, as early as Shmot 20 at Matan Torah, rather than waiting until the middle of Parshat Vayikra and the establishment of the Arayot prohibitions. The use of the term Gzeirot as referring to mitzvot is also problematic. The term mitzvot is one that is used throughout the Chumash. Why then does Rashi substitute mitzvot with Gzeirot? Question 6 relates to the multiple options rule. We have two options. One a request, the other a warning, and when there are two options, one needs to determine the advantages and disadvantages of each of the options, and Rashi's decision to prioritize option 1 over option 2. Question 7 relates to the identification of the author, in this case option 2. The author of that option is not identified. The term Naleket as describing the consequences of the violation of the Arayot law is somewhat extraordinary. There are other words that are more commonly used when referring to the movement away from mitzvot. And finally, Rashi reads into the Ani Hashem Elokeichem as a warning to be vigilant on account of an event that will take place in the future, referring specifically to the days of Ez HaSofer. This event did take place approximately 1,000 years into the future. A more useful warning against the problems of violating the Arayot laws would have been more forceful had Rashi referred to an event that already had happened a year or two earlier, where the people had already railed against the intrusions of Arayot laws into their private lives.